Today, I'm going to go off a request that a friend actually made to me. In a way, he asked me about my thoughts on the on the Marvel and DC universe. Well, I have a lot of these thoughts, but sorry, I have a lot of these thoughts, but they range in different areas as to what to discuss. So I'm gonna go over both universes in my mind and talk about some things and give a couple of lists on things about them. Okay, first thing I want to talk about is like how with the X-Men, to me, mirrored the civil rights in a lot of ways. Um, your leaders you had were Xavier, Professor Charles Xavier, who was a lot like Martin Luther King in my view because he tried to do things peacefully and only fought if he absolutely had no other choice. To him, it was better to show the world that mutants were the same as non mutants and that they should be treated as such. Now, his counterpart in this is Magneto, a man who had grown up in during the Holocaust and World War II and was actually held in internment camps. Which, if you watch the early movies and even the X-Men First Class, it makes note of this. In the earlier ones, it even shows the marks on his arm. In the Singer trilogy, it even shows the marks on his arm from where he was marked as one. Magneto, to me, represented Malcolm X because, in his view, he was taking a more rightful act. He believed that the only way for mutants to achieve equality or have rights of anything was to actually overthrow the current humans and that they were in fact the next evolutionary stage. While Malcolm had an extremist view, he wasn't as extreme as Magneto was willing to be, in my view. So that's where they differ from the reality of Malcolm X versus the character of Magneto's point of view. And Magneto even had a group that, to me, was just as extreme in their views, the Brotherhood Mutants. In the movie, this group included Sabretooth and Mystique and Toad, and they fought at the beginning. Well, their view was humans were bad, they were better, and that they could take over and everything would be alright. Black Panthers, as many know, were along the lines with Malcolm X, and they were willing to be more violent, get more hands on, at least according to the history books, which is where I get my knowledge of this from. And with now another group that was just as bad as the Brotherhood was actually ones made up of actual humans and mutants that would betray other mutants to the humans in order to keep what little dignity they could get, even though they were treated as being worthless still by this group. And that's the Friends of Humanity. To me, these were like the white supremacists of the 60s and were very violent extremists who thought mutants were bad, that they were lower than anybody in history because they were different. Now, and they were known to have done lots of bombings and murders and stuff in the name of keeping the human race alive rather than trying to find an equality measure. And as it turns out, this group would actually have its leader be found to actually be the son of Brotherhood Sabretooth, which made things really interesting when they kicked him out and sent him back to live with his and dropped him off at his father's house, and his father and him had a final confrontation. And there's one really special group who played both sides while being mutant themselves. They could actually blend in better with the humans, and nobody really suspected them of it. This is the Hellfire Club. They were a group of mutants that basically worked as mercenaries and were willing to actually punish how they saw. Whichever side benefited them the best, they blended in with. To me, this was the weakest of all of them, because even though the Brotherhood and the Friends of Humanity were going wrong way about their ideas, the Hellfire Club was too cowardly to actually pick a side and choose whether they wanted to be one or the other and deal with the outcome of it. Another thing I'd like to talk about from the Marvel universe, and this even occurred in the DC universe in a different way. In the Marvel universe, one of the things that Magneto was fighting and that Xavier was trying to prevent from occurring was what was known as the Mutant Registration Act, which by law, if it had passed, would have required mutants to, as soon as they were known to be mutants, they had to sign up and register and get a number. This is actually a reference made in the Singer trilogy, where Magneto tells them they got a number on him once, they wouldn't do it again. And how a man said that living together would mean that this number would be a good thing to help the population. To me, again, this reflected a lot like during World War II, when the Jews were marked with stars and numbers on their arms or some body part to prove that they were of the Jewish descendancy. And it showed intolerance in that way. And another way it resembled it is that why it was called, one of the reasons it was called the Mutant Registration Act is because it was only mutants that would have to sign. Anybody who was a non-mutant or was able to actually hide the fact that they were well enough wouldn't have to sign this form. And like another thing it resembled was during the Red Scare, when they started having these so-called internment camps in the U.S. where they would put people of Asian descent in their hopes during McCarthyism to stop what was known as communism coming to the U.S. because people were so afraid of it. Well, they would invoke these rights. They would invoke this idea, and they could force people from their homes and punish those who even tried to help the people. And a writer who wrote about this was actually Arthur Miller when he did the story of the crew. When he did the play, I can't remember which way it came out first as, but it was good as it was. He actually wrote it about communism scare in the U.S. and how the government under McCarthyism was going too far with the way they were just randomly picking people instead of finding evidence. And he compared it to the Salem witch hunts of the 1600s and 1700s. And again, due to this Registration Act and the way McCarthyism was working during the Red Scare, the families could lose everything. And in losing everything, they got moved to these camps, and there was nothing they could do about it. And once they lost it, they couldn't try to get it back afterwards if they were found to be innocent or when they got released. our government is still paying off for what they did during that alone in money. And another thing about it, where it differs from the book, and where the comics differ from real life in this area, a lot of families would disown. A lot of families, when their children were found to be mutants, or their families were found to be mutant, or other members were found to be mutants, they would disown that person so that they could retain what they had, especially in the noble classes that were supposed to be so caring about their so much about family. Okay, now I want to talk about, as we all know, there was the Captain America Civil War, and this actually in the comics took over a good number of comics in its own right, and there were some good amount of differences between them. Okay, the Superhero Registration Act that was started in this one was actually because they wanted to have it where people were actually held accountable for their actions, not just as the movie made it look, where it was about the money being spent to train these people to become the so-called superheroes. To go in the movie, they make it about what happened in the original Avengers movie, where it was about the attack on New York and how the Avengers should have been held accountable for it, as being what raised the problems between Tony Stark and Steve Rogers. In the comics, however, this is different. What actually caused the split and the need for the Superhero Registration Act to be started was a school that got bombed by terrorists. In the story, this group had taken over. They were wanting to cause damage and cause trouble. Well, a group of, I call them superhero wannabes, who wanted to just become famous, started recording what they did. And they were going to record this. Well, during the actions, they recorded all their little stunts and everything. And when it got down to stopping the bomb, they didn't make it in time. And because of that, the bomb went off, killing a bunch of school kids. After that, the government wanted to start the Superhero Registration Act as a way that if they were actually going to get involved, then this way they could know who could be involved and who shouldn't be there, and whether it should be left up to the police or not. And also, another thing that was never mentioned or talked about in the series is the X-Men. Now, I know Fox had the rights to it, things like that, so that's probably why they didn't have them mentioned in the Civil War story arc, and that the X-Men weren't considered part of the MCU's story. The MCU. Well, in the movie, like I said, it never mentions them. But in the comics, the X-Men and other superheroes at that time who didn't want to get caught up in this war between Captain America and Iron Man's differences, the ones who didn't get involved actually went into hiding, and this includes the villains as well. They didn't choose to take a side in it because they knew that they would more than likely be hunted. So they went into hiding, lived normal lives, and proved that they weren't the monsters that they were made out to be a lot of times, and that they could actually live normal lives. And the X-Men, Xavier even closed the mansion off during this time to anybody who wasn't a mutant. Only mutants were actually allowed at the mansion as a preventative measure to keep the government from actually interacting with them and causing trouble, and they stayed out of the war. Another thing that happened during they had happened during this, in the comics, that didn't happen in the movie, and this is even in one of the PlayStation's pinball games. The Zen arcade, I think it is, has it under the Marvel things for its Civil War. Is that Spider-Man actually reveals that he is Peter Parker, and even tells his age of when he started being this superhero. A big difference is the endings in the Civil War and how they did this. In the movies version, Captain America and the rest of them basically left. I mean, when the war was technically over, they split into two groups and went different ways. With Captain America and those that believed his way going off to live with the Black Panthers area. But in the comics, this went totally different because Captain America was actually arrested at the end of it, and brought in to serve time. And now on to one that really bugged me for years when they made these movies, and that's in the X-Men area. The Phoenix Sagas. In Bryan Singer's movies of X2, X-Men United, and X3, The Last Stand, they had the Phoenix. While it looked like it was meant to be a cosmic entity, it was actually another version of Jean Grey's personalities. They made it look like she had DID or schizophrenia, I'm not really sure which. And then Xavier locked away that part of her because she was so powerful with it. One thing I liked about the new movie, about the Dark Phoenix movie, is that it actually treats the Phoenix as a separate entity. But where I have a problem with it is in the fact that it still does a lot of focus on Jean Grey's origins story rather than focusing on the idea of getting the Phoenix out of her or showing the Phoenix that it didn't have to be violent and that there was another way to live. And this I didn't know originally for a good while. By the time I reached high school, early 2000s, I found this out. But it is actually widely considered and believed that the X-Men and Spider-Man, along with the Batman and Superman animated series of the 90s, are actually the most accurate to the comics as you can get, and it still be different in its own minor ways. And with a lot of the stories, this actually makes sense. In the 90s animated series, one of the differences about the Phoenix is the Phoenix takes over Jean's body when she is supposed to have died in space, and she came back to Earth with no memory, and the Phoenix was learning about Earth. And unfortunately, the Dark Phoenix was born because the Phoenix, under its amnesic state, under its state of amnesia, had found out that it had been betrayed by the group that was supposed to be so caring about it, and that Jean was supposed to belong to, according to the way they played her. And they played her character in this specific story. What changed in this to make the Dark Phoenix go from being the villainous creature that it became out of anger and spite and betrayal was actually Scott's love. Again, the Dark Phoenix movie shows this as well, how important Scott was to her. But with the Dark Phoenix as a cosmic entity, it showed the difference. Because here, when it did scenes for it, it showed Jean's flashbacks of happiness, but it didn't focus on Jean's origins. It focused on her life as an X-Men and her love for Scott, and let the Phoenix actually see the truth and how good people can be, as a way to fix it. Okay, now I'd like to actually discuss the idea of couples, TV and or comics. And again, this is both DC and Marvel universes. One of them I liked from the Superman animated series is from the, I can't remember how many parts it was. I think it was actually a 3-parter known as The World's Finest, where Bruce Wayne comes to Metropolis and him and Lois start this relationship. Well, during a scene, Batman is in the middle of the process of interrogating one of the criminals there in Metropolis, and Superman, Clark Kent, comes in and looks under the mask to see who he really is. Batman makes a joke talking about how it was no fair because he peeked. Well, later on, it shows Superman arriving home. He talks to Lois about the date she had with Bruce Wayne. And she talks about how great it was, things like that. And she talks about how clever Bruce is. Well, at that point, Clark hears a beeping and looks to see a little tracker on his cape. And he looks in the distance and sees Batman staring at him, giving him like a little hand gesture like this. And Clark's words are about he's really clever. Well, one of the things that got brought up in this is how Lois loved Superman, but she hated Clark Kent. She loved Bruce Wayne, but hated Batman. And Bruce actually makes a joke stating that it's too bad they can't mix and match the two. And spoiler, if you actually go back and watch this, while Lois and Bruce don't end up together, this is actually a really good episode set. It's humorous, and it's got a nice team up of superheroes as well as Lex Luthor, and the Joker. And as for Batman, I'd like to discuss the dynamic of Batman and Catwoman's relationship. And even as far back as the Adam West Batman series, you can see that there was some tension between Batman and Catwoman in any of the versions of her. But due to the times and how they saw things, if you look at the Eartha Kitt version, her version of Catwoman and Batman don't show as much sexual tension between the two or caring towards each other. And I'm guessing, like I said, it's because of the times and interracial dating being looked down upon at the time, during it. In the animated series, however, Batman and Catwoman were more noticeable, more caring. It was pretty much undeniable with them because they knew how to tease each other and play off of it. And it was basically a battle of wills to see which one was better at it. Now, in the movie Batman Returns with Michelle Pfeiffer, one of the things that made, and this is why I actually liked her version of Catwoman the best out of all of them, her version of Selena Kyle and Bruce like each other before she becomes Catwoman, and you can tell that it's there. However, due to one of her deaths, as we'll call it, as she later comes back as Catwoman, her mind shifts to seeing a criminal aspect to it rather than the nice view that it already had. now she's got a more darker sense of humor. And her and Batman, more matchups the animated series had of them where they could play off of each other and it worked nicely. Also, the Anne Hathaway version that everybody remembers with Christian Bale's Batman, that one was weird to me, but it reminded me of the one from the cartoon. I mean, it reminded me more of the old style, mixing with the animated series where she could have a sense of humor, she could be playful, but at the same time, her eye was more ambitious and driven in her style of Catwoman. Another interesting fact is that if you look, the TV show with Adam West had three different Catwomen, two white, one African American. If you look at the movies, you have three, with Michelle Pfeiffer as a blonde version in Batman Returns, Halle Berry, sorry if I said that name wrong, as this title character, which basically played like the Eartha Kitt, in my view, where she wasn't liked by as many, but that's because that movie really was bad in my view. And then you had Anne Hathaway, who had the darker haired version of Selena Kyle, which would have been the third for the set. And I do like the way that both movies played the Catwoman ending, Catwoman idea for an ending. And because they both gave a version that I saw was more fitting in the way it was done and predicted. Okay, now I'm going to talk about a couple that they're even on my list for one of the great ones, but they're not on it as exactly a loving couple. I mean, as an example of a true love type couple, in my view. It's Joker and Harley Quinn. A lot of people say that theirs was a form of true love that was born out of this sick love due to the way the Joker was. No. In my view, he enjoyed specifically the fact that he tormented and drove her to the point of insanity. Because Harley Quinn was this well-respected woman who was lonely. Joker knew this, and he played on it. Came up with all these stories, and came up with this way to where he eventually broke her. And no matter how bad he treated her, she would end up going back to him. My brother actually discussed this, and we thought of it. We came to the agreement that it was more like she had Stockholm Syndrome, where she fell in love with the person who was actually her tormentor. A twist that came on this in the newer versions, but was hinted in the animated series, showed Harley and Ivy as being really good friends. Well, in the newer version of in the newer comics, I'm not sure if it's the New 52 or the Rebirth part that did this, it actually shows that Harley did leave Joker eventually, and her and Ivy actually became a couple. And I'm sorry if I'm not saying the restart versions correctly. Okay, but in my view, the greatest couple they had in comics is the one of Remy LeBeau, aka Gambit, and Rogue. The thing that makes me so drawn to these two is that they were both outsiders in their lives due to their abilities and the inability to actually control them at times, especially in Rogue's case. And though they can never touch, it actually added to the feeling of wanting to be close to somebody and have that relationship, which made Gambit and her so perfect for each other in that way. And these two, in every version of the comics that I've seen, they have come to some sort of ending at some point where it was bad, with the exceptions of one-offs. In one version, like, her Rogue's history is that she actually kills, because she gains the memories and abilities of Captain Marvel, which is actually how Rogue was able to fly. And Gambit, and this is actually where I saw it I saw it as wrong, the way Rogue judged him for this, is that Gambit was part of the destruction of an underground group known as the Morlocks. It was a small group of mutants that lived underground. Well, Gambit he was going to go through with the mission and help with it, their destruction. But when he saw what they were going to do, when he got there, he left because he couldn't stand it. Unfortunately, Rogue left him because of this, saying that she couldn't be with somebody who was a murderer like that. Another version where this couple, while they're together, faces a severe trouble is during what was known as the New Sun arc, where a version of Gambit from another universe had actually had his powers going out of control, and he started having power surges because he couldn't control it. And at one point, he released so much energy that it actually destroyed the entire planet minus him. So he started traveling from one universe to the next, killing off the versions of him in those universes, in order to prevent this from happening, because of the loneliness he felt from losing Rogue in that universe. Well, when he came to what would be considered the Prime universe, I believe, of the X-Men, the Gambit of that universe had started experiencing the same problems. Well, the New Sun had learned to control his abilities by that time. He embraced it and started using them. Well, he actually employed Gambit of the Prime Universe as one of his workers, and was helping him learn to control his abilities. Though the Gambit of the Prime Universe didn't realize who the New Sun really was. At one point, the New Sun realized that his love for Rogue is partly what was causing him to lose his ability to control his powers, because of how much he loved her and how much it hurt him not to be able to be with her in a physical relationship. And by physical, I mean actually holding hands, not necessarily a sexual one. So he decided he was going to kill Rogue in this universe instead, and then kill Gambit, so that this version wouldn't have to feel the loneliness. Well, Prime Universe Gambit found out, took him on, and then found out who he was during the fight, and told him that he would never become him, and he actually kills him. He kills the New Sun by releasing a massive amount of his energy towards the New Sun and killing him. But in doing so, Gambit had released all that excess energy that had built up in his body over time, and he was now back to normal. But again, this couple ended up broken up because she couldn't look at Gambit without seeing the New Sun's face now and knowing what had happened, which to me sounded like she caught a form of PTSD in this situation. And in another version that came in there was Juggernaut actually became the thing that broke them up. At some point in his life, Juggernaut had come to become obsessed and started stalking Rogue, thinking he was in love with her and wanting to prove himself to her. Well, he realized that Rogue would never leave Gambit, our dear Remy LeBeau here. such a great Cajun. And so he decided he was going to deal with it himself, and he actually kills Gambit as a way to prove his love to Rogue. Well, Rogue, justifiably, understandably, gets angry, and she actually defeats him. She actually stops the Juggernaut and truly beats him. While I do not remember if she actually kills him or not, I know for certain that she actually did beat him to the point where he was near death, at least. And if I remember correctly, she actually absorbed in that version of the X-Men. She actually absorbs Gambit's memories and stuff so that she can keep him alive, so to speak, because his body actually dies. And for the more recent versions of it, and this one got really sick in my mind because of the way they went about it. Mystique, who is, as it turns out, Rogue's adoptive parent, had actually taken in Rogue, and now she had started working at the mansion, and she decides, while she came to live at the mansion, she knows how close Gambit and Rogue were and how happy they were. And Mystique, in her own way, thought Gambit wasn't good enough for her daughter and that they needed to be broken up. So instead of just telling her, talking to her daughter, trying to prove Gambit was wrong, she decides to go about this by transforming herself into a student there and starts flirting with Gambit a lot, even openly in front of Rogue and trying to cause a rift between them. One day she decides to take this too far and actually tries to seduce him in his room. Rogue walks in, sees them together. Gambit tries to plead his innocence, and while Mystique in her form claims that they did actually sleep together, Rogue leaves, and Gambit's heartbroken, and I actually do not know how that one if they actually did get back together in that version or not. And speaking of those one-offs type deals, there's a version where Gambit and Rogue actually do get married finally. It's called, I forget what it's actually, I think it's Mr. and Mrs. something, like a Mr. and Mrs. Smith play, where they're actually like spies, but they're in love and they're having to pretend to be a married couple, but they actually do get married in that one. And with one of the arcs they did, the house, I think it was called the House of M or Day of M. Anyways, during this story arc, half the mutants of the world lose their powers, including Gambit and Rogue. Well, at one point they're shown in Paris in the comics, and they're having a meal together, talking about how much they love each other. And they're shown holding hands, and both have rings on their fingers, which to me showed that they were actually married, while others have argued that it was just them being engaged, or just something they threw in for some special look. Okay, now I'd like to talk about the people who I thought were the best actors and actresses in the roles of these characters that I'm going to list. Such as in the role of Batman, and there can be more than one in these lists, just to warn you ahead of time. I'd actually vote Michael Keaton or Val Kilmer. The Batman to Batman Forever movies. And that's because Keaton knew how to play the role where he had a sense of humor, and he knew how to show some signs of fear when he thought about his parents' death in dealing with the Joker. Val Kilmer, on the other hand, he knew how to do the psychological drama and torment that was needed for the Batman Forever movie. where he had to think about, where he had to keep thinking about this one scene in his past as a child and what led to him becoming the Batman and how to deal with it. As for Superman, I'm actually going for Christopher Reeves in this because those movies were well played and well written, and Reeves knew how to play a superhero and how to play the role where it was more believable than almost anybody I can think of. Dean Cain comes close second in that with the New Adventures of Lois and Clark, with Lois and Clark, the New Adventures of Superman, but I would have to still give it to Christopher Reeves overall. Now for the comedic king of terror, the Joker, I would actually vote Mark Hamill for the Batman animated series and Batman Beyond Return of the Joker movie. Hamill knew while Jack Nicholson, while Jack had the original Joker, had the Joker in the movie planned great, he was really comedic about it, but you didn't get to see like you did with Hamill, where Joker had the dark side. Hamill even had a different laugh for each version of the Joker that he had. Like he could laugh and it mean he's just being funny. He could laugh and it could be something really dark was going to happen in that moment. Or he could laugh and he could be teasing like he was going to do something dark and do nothing at all. Hamill's was special in the way it was done. It was perfect all around because he knew how to make the laugh work. He knew how to be comedic while at the same time being the being the criminal crime lord that he was. And if you can, and you can find it on YouTube. I know this because I've actually looked it up. Look up the Batman eulogy, where Hamill performs it either live or he performs it from the episode. I promise you will laugh at it. Harley Quinn. While I was not a fan of how they did the character in the movie or how they had her dressed, because they've dressed her to the newer version of the character, I do think Margot Robbie had potential. And the version from the Suicide Squad, I do think actually had potential. While the animated series was more accurate to the look. And I think they should have given her the look of the original Harley Quinn rather than remodeling her to fit the newer generation's version. As for Catwoman, like I said, Michelle Pfeiffer is the highest on my list for this. But Eartha Kitt is right there with her because they both knew how to play the character and make it enjoyable where you actually wanted to root for the villain in that area. Now, back to the Superman universe. With Lex, Michael Rosenbaum in Smallville as Lex, I think was the greatest because he was able to show that Lex did try to change, but at heart, because Lex craved the power and couldn't escape his father's control no matter how hard he tried, he would always go back to that dark spot and stay there. And that's where this next one also comes in with Supergirl. While I do enjoy the current TV series version of Supergirl with Melissa in the role, I think Smallville also had a really good claim with Laura Vandervoort in the role because she played the role where it was she came to Earth, she didn't know anything new, so she didn't know how to adapt to the planet. Melissa's learned as well, but they had where we didn't really see Melissa trying to adapt. Laura's came as an actual adult and had to adapt in a different way. Melissa's got to grow up and see the world and then eventually become Supergirl rather than basically becoming Supergirl right off the bat, like Laura's did. And with Laura, another series I would recommend with this actress that isn't on the air but it is on Netflix right now is the series Bit about werewolves, which is based off of a book series. Off of a nice book series that deals with werewolves, witches, and it's really good in the way it's done. The character of Livewire, our little electric shock jock that went after Supergirl in the current version, went after Superman in the animated series. Go with Lori Petty from the animated series because she's got the smart mouth and she knew how to throw in the jokes and hit them and say it in the right tone so that you would actually feel the anger that mixed with the comedy that Livewire was hiding. The newer version, the new version of Livewire isn't bad, but she hides behind the anger too much rather than showing the comedic side with it. Back to the Batman version, the Riddler. Jim Carrey wins overall. I'm sorry, this man is genius, and he deserves a lot more awards in life and a lot more credit for the way he plays the roles he does. I'm surprised he hasn't gotten the greatest in comedy in some form, if he hasn't. And the reason why I pick his version to be my choice for the Riddler, as much as I'd like to add the animated version, the only thing the animated version did that was really great was when he played the riddles, such as in the episode we actually first see him appear in. Why aren't you rich? I mean, if you're so smart, why aren't you rich? The Maze of the Minotaur was created by the animated series version, and it was the greatest of all riddle sets, in my view. Now, Jim Carrey's version was funny because it showed how he had this great idea and how smart he really was, and how one bad thing led to him going down a different route and becoming this dark image. But at the same time, he never lost that dark sense of humor. He never lost the sense of humor, even though it just got darker, was all. And one of the greatest lines I think was delivered in that movie comes from him when Batman and Two-Face both interrupt in Batman Forever. They both interrupt this ball that he's having, this event that he's having. Two-Face comes in saying how he wants the bat right then. Well, then a little bit later, Batman shows up and he goes, "Your entrance was good, his was better. The difference? Showmanship." Like I said, it's a funny line in the way it's done, and I don't think anybody else could have delivered it the way Carrey actually did. As for the Green Arrow, I'm sorry to those who disagree, but Stephen Amell wins this one. While Smallville had a good Green Arrow, I think he would have made a better Aquaman, which they had actually intended for him to do for the pilot when they did the spinoff for Aquaman from Smallville. I think he would have made a better Aquaman styling. But Stephen Amell makes a better Arrow because he starts off dark and he knows how to play that darkness that the Arrow was holding in, and then show him changing over time to go back to the form that people remembered him for, that light, good guy side. But at the same time, he still retains the darkness. Now on to the Marvel Universe. This one, I'm sorry, I can't give out one for it, and that's Spider-Man, and that's because each have their own specialty in the way they were used. I will discount the cartoon from the 70s, because from the 60s and 70s, because I'm sorry, that was just bad writing in general when they made those cartoons, and just a way to play for kids. Now, the one in the 90s and the movies that came out with Tobey Maguire and Holland and Garfield each have their own credits, and each can play to a certain point that works for them. Now, Venom. Now, this is where I get. Now, this one I will choose, though, and that's because I have to choose from the animated series. Topher Grace wasn't bad, but he didn't know how to bring in the darkness that Brock truly held in him. And the Venom movie that they made, I still miss that darkness. I still miss the actual Eddie Brock being shown. That anywhere resembled the comics. But the animated series from the 90s did really well at showing that. And especially when it showed his transformation from villain to hero when Carnage came about. And now on to the X-Men. This is going to be a fun one. Let's start off with the easy one, Logan. Wolverine. Hugh Jackman wins. He knew how to play this role, and he knew how to master it. Otherwise, they would not have had him come back so many times for this role. The Gambit, though, that's the 90s cartoon. The same as Rogue. You want the 90s animated series for that, because they had the accents closer to what they should have been, and they showed more about the characters than what the movies did in the X-Men series, in the X-Men movies, and X-Men Origins Wolverine. The one really good thing they did was with Gambit and Rogue in the cartoon, they actually tried to give them a southern accent to match where they were supposed to be from. Gambit's case, Louisiana. Rogue's case, Mississippi. And also, again, for the 90s animated series of X-Men, Magneto. The voice, the actor for that was really well done. And while, yeah, he might not have tried to make it ethnic anyway or tried to make it about his background, he still knew how to play the role, and through a voice alone and what you were seeing on TV to show how to play it. With Professor Xavier, while most would probably say Patrick Stewart, I actually have to go with James McAvoy. He did that role well. He's known how to play it. He's done it well enough that he made the character his own, even where he could separate him from Xavier, where he could separate the singer version and the current version. And with Jean Grey, now this one I will give Bryan Singer's X-Men trilogy for. Or Jean Grey in those movies was actually really well done and more meticulous. She was more of what you would have expected from it if you didn't watch the actual cartoons and fall in love with that version. Now with Cyclops, Scott Summers, the animated series wins. In the 90s animated series, again, wins. Because the actor in that knew how to portray the love that Scott had for Jean, and also how to be, through his voice, how to be a leader and certain other things like that. The character of Alex Summers, Scott's older brother, aka Havoc, X-Men First Class wins. And with Mystique, this one I'd do about 50-50. Jennifer Lawrence had the actions down and knew how to play Mystique when she got angry or when she was trying to show a certain emotion. But the 90s animated series had the Mystique for the age sound that we were looking for a girl who was supposed to be older, as old, if not older, than Xavier was. And Sabretooth, if you want it through the grunts and the fighting version, you want the grunts and the fighting, that you want the movie versions for, because you want the X-Men Origins version, because that version of Sabretooth was better for the fights and better for showing the attitude between brothers. But the 90s animated series show more of the darkness of Sabretooth that existed, where he wanted to fight and destroy anybody who went against the Brotherhood of Mutants. Now I would like to give my overall top 10 of my favorites in this group. I mean, in the DC and Marvel universe. Number 10, Jessica Jones. Because she was not your typical superhero type. She actually fought against it a lot and wanted to have a normal life. And she ended up finding her life in the superhero thing and even having a family that existed and making her happy. Number 9, our vampire hunter, Blade. Wesley Snipes did good at bringing this character to life for the movies, and the comics still win, though. My number 8 is, as far as I know, only existed in the animated series of Batman, and that's the third personality that Two-Face had, known as the Judge. This character was so far removed from Two-Face's personality that neither one of his other two personalities, Harvey or Two-Face, knew this personality existed. But due to this, the personality also knew everything, as it was stated in the cartoon, knew everything about Two-Face except that it was, in fact, Two-Face itself. And it actually fought crime, whereas Two-Face committed the crimes. Number 7, Spider-Man. You got a kid who was given this gift, and he had to learn the right way to go about things when he could have given it. And he even had moments where he went into that darkness, such as when he took on the costume originally, before Brock got a hold of it, and he actually went dark side with it. And there's even a universe where the symbiote actually, in the anime series, there's even a universe supposedly where the symbiote's actually taking over him slowly, and he never got rid of it. Oh, I'm sorry, that was Carnage that grew to that Spider-Man. The Spider-Venom one, while it left him, the symbiote fed off that darkness and pain that he had, which made him a much more believable character in his growth. After Spider-Man, we gotta go to Supergirl. While most would probably say, oh, she's just a knockoff of Superman that they came up with later to be equivalent, I think with the way they did her story arcs in comics, cartoons, and TV shows, and even the movie they did for her, I think they gave her a way to be her own character, and she should be considered as such and be granted the same right as a character that's believable. And she has proven it in almost every version, especially Laura and Melissa's versions from Smallville and Supergirl. Actually, this is where it gets interesting. I thought I was going to have a top 10. I actually don't have a number 5 because there were so many choices running through my head that I couldn't find a way to put it into number 5, and it seemed fair. Number 4, Catwoman. Like I said, this is a woman who has many different versions and rocks in every form she does, and that she's existed, minus Hallie's version. I mean, minus the Barry version in the title movie. And I think this character was genius in its creation because it was simplistic and it showed that a woman could actually be dominant in this role without having to have some sort of special gift or some really horrible backstory. Unlike, I mean, with the exception of some stories that it gave out. My number 3, our Clown Prince of Crime, the Joker. Again, nobody beats Mark Hamill in this role for the way he mixed way he blended darkness and comedy. Ledger did good with showing the darkness, but not really having the comedy. Jack had the comedy, but not a lot of the darkness. And the other versions I've seen come nowhere close. But Hamill knew how to mix the two, and even he admitted that when he found out he was taking on the role of the Joker, he was actually worried about how to play it, knowing that he was following Jack in this role. And now on to my number 2, Rogue. This, like I said earlier, this is a girl with... My number 2 is Rogue, my number 1 is Remy. Again, this is because these two, they grew up different ways, but both were outsiders who eventually found love in another outsider that made them feel whole. Now, if you'd like, I'd like to hear what you guys think I should have had as number 5 on this list. And also, so leave that in the comments. Also, leave me your favorite, and leave me your favorite superhero, supervillain, and even if it's a list. And give me a topic to discuss, and I'll take it under advisement. And as I've said before, if I believe I can do it, or at least attempt to do it justice in an honorable way, I will try. I look forward to your comments and ideas, and also who you'd like to see at number 5 on that list. Have fun.